We've talked about the Bahamas economy, the regulation part of the financial center, and I would like to ask our panelists about the innovation and how the companies and the government is helping to create good, innovative products. David, perhaps we can start with you.
I think just to start with a backdrop of structuring globally, not just in the Bahamas, but all over the world. As Michael said earlier, structuring today is an incredibly important part of delivering a good service to our clients. And I think when you look back over the past 20 years, this industry has been characterized globally by plain vanilla products, where a firm will create a product and then try to put as many clients into that product as possible. I think we understand, particularly the local players, that we have to listen to our clients. And that listening to our clients, we recognize that each one of them has a problem, and they're all a bit different. So while there may be essential toolkits or structures that could work, we have to create just a bit of bespoke product into an existing structure to ensure that we're addressing those issues. And I think today, more than ever, the winners are going to be those who are very thoughtful, mindful, listening to their clients, and able to take the time to address those specific concerns. Not only when they first meet the client and create a structure that addresses their issues, but continuously follows up. It's not about putting a client to a structure and forgetting about them. It's about being a partner with them over decades. And I think today, when you look at the financial services sector, that long-term commitment and partnership between institutions and clients is really vacant. So to the extent that we as an innovative jurisdiction embrace that mantle, which I think we have, we will be a much stronger competitor in the global marketplace.
Why do you think it's so difficult for others to fill their role? You're saying that position has been vacant.
For me, it's really a question of profits. When you look at the big institutions, they're public companies that are driven by profits this year, not profits over a long term. So you have senior management teams that are incredibly myopic and short-term focused in terms of how they manage their businesses. So they have to minimize their fixed costs. When you are in this industry, you recognize that this business is about being successful over decades, not being successful over single years. And so to the extent that you take that mindset on, then you're willing to sacrifice, let's say, profits in 1 year to ensure a long-term commitment over a generation.
And I've also seen where the international banks and trust companies, for example, they're going to have a much more conservative mandate with their operations. So they're going to want to see that it's a tested product. Whereas if we sit down with David, Evelyn, or Yvonne, and we say, okay, this is a new piece of legislation. We think we can use it for these structures, these products, these strategies, and they're more likely to take it up quickly rather than sitting down with a head office in Zurich or Geneva. We're going to say, well, how does that really work? We're used to doing things in certain structured ways. So the key is to have players like the people around the table that say, okay, we think there's an opportunity for a fund structure that's going to work for Latin American clients, Brazil specific, that meets all the Brazilian touchstones to be a recognized fund, to give the Brazilian client the tax deferral that they want. It's a completely compliant structure, and so we came up with the ICON, which is an investment product.
Yes, tell us about the ICON.
So the
investment condominium.
Investment condominium modeled on the Brazilian concept of an investment condominium. We saw an opportunity to attract legitimate Brazilian funds that were looking for international diversification. But they wanted it to be in a structure which was recognized and respected for tax purposes back in Brazil. So the Bahamas sat down, a group of us, with Brazilian lawyers, with the government, with stakeholders around the table here, and said, this is what we're going to try and do. It's new. It doesn't fit in any statutory toolkit that anyone in the common law has seen, but we think we have a market for this. And we brought it to market in under 2 years, which I think is pretty good example of how we see a niche. It's not a global product. It's a niche product, but it makes sense for us to do. And there's many examples of us doing that in the book.
I know there are many, and would like to ask you to highlight a few more for me.
Well, we were the first investment fund administrators to do an ICON in the Bahamas. So we have number one, and certainly Brazil is a key market for us. And and the innovation of the Bahamas to come up with an investment fund to suit that market that is compliant and transparent is very, it shows how the support of the public and the private sector working together to get these new products launched very quickly. The trust product as well, we shouldn't overlook, even though it's a 1998 legislation. It's very flexible, it's very innovative, and it has a lot of features there that is unique to the Bahamas and what we bring to the table. And also we have the smart funds.
Yes, smart funds, yes, specific mandate alternative regulatory test fund. I will have to read it because I wouldn't remember the acronym. So tell me about that.
Well, it's very innovative in that it's also compliant and transparent structuring, whereas you may have a trust that's not registered. These are all licensed by the regulators, and it's very much a wrapper for investment strategies that are unique to a group of people. And so it's
flexible, and it can actually take into account people's cultural sort of norms. So for instance, the icon would fit into that sort of structure because it really encompassed the Brazilian culture and what they actually believed in terms of products and that kind of thing. And so that the smart fund is so valuable, and year over year we see growth in the numbers of funds.
And the smart fund product actually is now being copied by Luxembourg. I mean, who would thought Luxembourg would come out with a limited fund product, but they are. So they're seeing, and what we saw 10 years ago is very important for us, private client wealth management. Other people are recognizing that they need to provide alternatives as well. But that's our innovation. We bring that to the marketplace, and I think people like
I think the other piece. These are set templates. These are approved templates by the regulator, which in turn have allowed administrators, unrestricted administrators, to actually license the fund on their behalf. And I think that really is innovative because it really allows for speed in the setup of the fund. As compared to other jurisdictions. The funds are completely regulated from day one, but that aspect of licensing is given to the private sector, which really moves the fund forward at a much faster pace.
And then of course there is the Bahamas executive entity. Ivan, how important is this product?
Well, it's a very innovative product, particularly because it takes an entity to act on a specific role, which adds to other innovative moves. Bahamas was the first common law jurisdiction to implement foundation law, for example. So as you can see, smart funds, the icon, Bahamas executive entity, foundation law and trust law for the back. There's been a history of trying to be innovative in the wealth management arena on the structuring side that David commented.
So innovation, how easy does the Bahamas' ability to innovate make your job, Tanya?
Well, it makes my job easier because when we promote the Bahamas, we're able to speak to innovation, and certainly we're able to show them, like I say, a diverse suite of products. But the innovation, I think what is critical here is that there is that public-private sector partnership that is driving it. We have working groups within the Bahamas Financial Services Board. We have a funds working group, for example. So when there is a new idea or a new product, then industry stakeholders would come together, discuss it, develop the legal framework for it, and then engage government to say, how can we move this forward? So the innovation that we see happening here is really the result of a collaborative effort.
Yes, and the promotional activities are very much collaborative as well, because normally we travel on the road together, BFSB and the government, as well as persons from the private sector. And last year we did extensive travel in Latin America, Brazil in particular. And we also did Asia. We did several countries in Asia. We went to Beijing. We did do Shanghai, as well as we went to Singapore afterwards. We did Hong Kong as well. And we tie a lot of what we do in terms of promotion into the Society of Trust and Estate Practitioners. That organization that basically is so well respected. And we've found that we've been able to really sell the Bahamas as the wonderful financial center that it is.
So the Bahamas obviously is really well known this side of the
Yes.
world, in the Americas and in Asia.
And
What kind of
we are
reception
trying
are
to become more familiar to the
Mm-hmm.
Asian clients, and we've had good reception, very good reception, and we believe that the Smart Fund is a fund that is flexible enough to be able to to be attractive
to attract their
for
interest
that
as well?
the Asian market. Yes.
So
Maybe I'd just give you another example of the partnership between the BFSB and the private sector, and that's in the insurance space. Over a number of years, BFSB has been discussing with the private sector the development of the insurance space within the Bahamas. You know, the insurance marketplace and banking marketplace have coexisted for hundreds of years. But the intersection between the two has been, very fragile and very tentative for many years. We're starting to see, not only in the private wealth space, but we're starting to see globally, the intersection of insurance and banking is growing tremendously in New York and in London. You're seeing new firms that are using that intersection to diversify risk. I think within the private wealth space, you've not seen the interaction between the private client balance sheet and the private client's business balance sheet in the past. And now with the innovation of insurance products, you're starting to see more crossover. So I think that's an important area of innovation for the Bahamas.
an area that the Bahamas, obviously, I'm sure will be very keen to cover with the new innovative products. So being able to have a longer term view when it comes to profits, being nimble enough to take quick decisions seems to be one of the key ingredients of the center's success.
Because, as an independent nation, it allows us to make our decisions internally and go out pretty quickly. I think that is also a key to our jurisdiction.
And the fact that we do have a fairly stable political environment, and also the fact that we are a democracy, I think is also very, very helpful for how we're able to actually sell our jurisdiction. And I think that has been part of our success as well, because people want to know that they're going to be doing business in an environment where no real political change is going to cause a risk to their investment.
Very well. Well, it's been a very interesting conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. I have. So thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Thank